agree with you, Chairman, on this PCSO issue. I think Nicholas are quite a fan of PCSOs. I think they've taken over and done a splendid job within our communities. The police, the real police aren't there, but the PCSOs are. And I know that they are worried because we are the representatives, the people's representatives. It's people come to us, and if they can see a PCSO, then I think that really puts their minds at rest because they can go round to the people, speak to them, and put their minds at rest. Because we've said we're dealing with low crime, not the high crime, and I think that's what the people want. And if we really are going to reduce numbers and have that taken away, and it appears we're taking a step back. I mean, I can remember when my parish, we actually funded half a PCSO, and it really didn't work because we were saying we want X, Y and Z, and the other half wanted something else, and I really hope that we're not going to go back to those times. And with councils cutting their budgets, I really don't see how we can look to funding PCSOs, quite honestly. I really don't, but I'm really pleased, Chairman, that you have agreed to put something of that nature on a future meeting for discussion, so it doesn't just fizzle out and we let these good officers fall into the mire.
Thank you, Chair. More stated, I think, in the question, but you're absolutely right, of course, that the police are under the same budgetary costs that local authorities are, so it's not a useful analogy in a sense, in that we are all going to suffer. So we have to see where we go. I think we've probably covered, we've rather gone more deeply into finances than I'd anticipated, but it's the consequences of, and it's probably teed us up. Gerard.
Thank you for your indulgence. I mean, I know we had to ask these questions. I mean, if you looked at the following page after the PCSO, you'll talk about the theme software. There's an overspend of nearly £1 million. Can we be told why?
Yeah. If I may, Chairman, this figure is under examination. I believe the main reason for it is that it's additional cost that's been allocated in this particular year. There's work being undertaken to identify just how much of that is truly additional cost for the project overall. It's because of the delay in the delivery of the software has meant that some of the costs that would have been spent last year have rolled into this year. So please don't see that as total 100% additional cost. When I get a better figure for the Athena project, of course, we do need that to the panel.
And it is, of course, 6 other forces are involved, so it's not us just. But it's a thoughtful question.
If I may, as we were mentioning Athena, I think it would be remiss of me not to let you know that the discussion, building on the discussion I had with the Chief Constable in our first Essex Challenge meeting, if you recall, these are the public meetings where I hold the Chief Constable account, and having introduced the topic, to let you know the next one is actually on November the 4th, also here in Chelmsford City Council Chamber, and I invite any member to come along to that or to watch it subsequently online. You know, I have not been satisfied with how well Essex Police have implemented various computer projects. On that occasion, I twisted him quite hard about 3 topics about mobile data terminals, which the rollout was, I think, not as good as it might have been. Similarly with SAP, I've already mentioned the accounting system. Athena itself is also, as a project, has been extremely troublesome. We should have been underway nearly a year ago. It's still not going as well as it should. The firm who won the contract from Northgate have failed to meet a really important deadline, a much delayed important deadline at the end of August, and have been, at this stage, contractually have now been issued with a correction plan to try and come up with a solution. And it's fair to say that we're at the moment waiting for a meeting of the strategic board of the Athena programme, which I now actually chair on behalf of all of the forces, to take a decision about the next steps. So I wouldn't want to mention Athena without letting you know that this remains quite a difficult project to get over the line. Our financial exposure, I'm pleased to say, is, because of very good contractual work, is modest. But there's some important steps ahead.
Thanks for that, Nick, and thanks for the question, Gerard. It does give some clarity, which is all there for. Right.
Chairman, on future business, could I just intervene to say that I saw the Chief Constable this morning for a meeting to talk about a particular topic, but he he offered to come along today's meeting, and I, because he was keen, I think, in a way now to come along and see you again. I tried to dissuade him to come today because I thought, this today was your first chance to have a real go at me, but I think it would be great, if you felt you'd like him to come, and if we've got a lightish agenda for the next meeting, if you could make that, perhaps he could come and give you an account of his first 6 months.
That would really, really help. It really would, because earlier speaking to Penny Channer a few days ago, I got the impression that there is one panel which actually refuses to allow a commissioner who refuses to allow his chief constable to attend. Just to put, to show you how many different formats there are. Yeah. And coming, that's an unsolicited offer. So yes, very much. Are you happy with that? Please say yes, but you. I think that sounds really rather good. So does that give you enough bones to
John, on the Park Night lighting, as you know, we had a spectacularly dramatic and theatrical political debate at Chelmsford Council here last week, and that's exactly what we don't want around this table.
Absolutely. I took my handkerchief out and waved surrender eventually. I mean, after 4.5 hours.
You had to because the numbers are bigger. But the way Colin's framed it here is exactly right, and to get the last few lines there about influencing where lights left on and judging the other, I think is entirely appropriate. And if we can do it on that civilised basis, then I think it would be interesting. It probably doesn't now, because I think the last tranche is January, isn't it?
Yes.
Tendering in another authority.
We're going in January, and we haven't got the detail yet, and there are a few other authorities after us.
I thought the last tranche was January, but I might be wrong.
Well, it's liable to see change.
We could wait till like spring of next year when the full effect throughout.
It would be interesting.
It doesn't, of course, affect Southend or Thurrock.
We're still keeping our lights on.
You are.
What we're doing, Chairman, we're cutting managerial posts a bit harder.
You're hanging. No. I won't say that. There is no answer to that. And that's the debate.
It's been a tricky few weeks, isn't it, with Fedgate and all goes with that. And I felt that I needed to make my own position clear on that. So we issued, as I'm intending to do, to issue a blog onto our website and then to get information out about that. And I've done a short radio interview today. I think it's been picked up by the media. I've been a little bit troubled about the police and crime commissioners really haven't been mentioned quite enough, in my view, over the last few weeks in this row between the police and the IPCC. We've decided to have, the government's decided to have police and crime commissioners, and I'm really excited to be in the role. I see my role as being here on all of our behalf to hold the Chief Constable to account, for the entirety of Essex policing, which includes, I think, the integrity of the force, and to help and support him as he thinks about the ethics of policing. So I decided to get a statement out that made clear that we haven't been standing away from this at all. We talk quite a lot, and rightly so, about some of the community aspects of crime and safety, but week by week, Lindsay in particular, leading for me, is working with the Professional Standards Department. We're learning about how police complaint system works. We've been getting to know the IPCC. And through all of this, I think 2 or 3 key things emerge. Firstly, I'm very clear we need an independent police complaints commissioner. We need an IPCC. I think it's facing a lot of challenges at the moment. It's got a place, where I wouldn't want to be if I was running the IPCC. But we need an independent police complaints commission which can investigate the most serious allegations against police, and when police officers, as they inevitably will, awful things will happen. You know, a suspect or an innocent person will be shot dead or whatever the awfulness is. We need an independent police complaints commission. It's almost inevitable when police are dealing with so many members of the public with incidents every day that there are also going to be complaints about service. When those complaints come in, it's also obvious to me the police need a robust, good, well-managed system that manages those complaints internally. But I think now that we have police complaints commissions, I think it's absolutely incumbent on me to make sure that I make myself available, firstly, to make sure that those processes, those complaints procedures work properly, that we can supervise them. A lot of people are contacting us about their experience. So we now have regular meetings, we have regular reports, we have quarterly reports from the Deputy Chief Constable on misconduct cases, on complaints. Regularly now, Lindsay is going in, we're dip sampling those files, we're looking at the outcomes of cases. And I feel very strongly it is my duty to help preserve police integrity by, if you like, overseeing. I've got an oversight role in the process. I shouldn't be intervening. I should not get in the way of well-established procedures that are dealing with things that go wrong. But I should be overseeing it and making sure it works well. And if we have concerns about how well it's working, to draw those to the attention of Chief Constable, sort it out. Similarly, we are following very carefully the outcome of, we're not intervening, but we're following the outcome of police misconduct cases, whether they're handled internally and or externally. Seeing, are there things that we think we can learn from? Can I require the Chief Constable to manage the force better, to support him doing that, so that it will build public confidence in what they're doing? So I'm rather disappointed that there hasn't been more mention about the role for PCCs, and I intend to offer leadership in this space. And we do it week by week, conversation by conversation. The Chief Constable rings me up and says, what do I think about this, what do I think about that? I think we should be having that influence, and I think we're getting ourselves to a good place. I also think there's another issue, and you may have seen, and I've now put into the public domain, that I think I might have mentioned to you before, that in terms of the Stage 2 transfer, one of the things that we would set up in Essex is a strategic policing board. We need to think about the 5 to 10 year view, to go back to the point I made earlier. Rightly, our concern is here and now and next year and the year after. But what about the 5 and 10 year view? I'm quite clear we need a strategic board that can help me and the Chief Constable take that longer term view. I'm strongly minded to bring non-executive representation into that board. I think, why should the police, unlike almost any other organisation I know at the moment, why should the police not have access to that sort of external view? And clearly, from what I've said earlier, I do have deep concerns about the finances, the strategic finances, so I want a finance committee of that. And the only other committee under that strategic policing board that I am now committed to setting up is an ethics and integrity committee that will help me in my role in that holding to account, to hold that mirror to the police so they can see themselves as we all see them, and help them think their way through some of those challenging ethical issues, more about ethics and integrity. The things that police live with day by day, discretion, proportionality, reasonableness, what do all of those things mean in this day and age, facing the policing challenges they face? So as we take forward this work in terms of overseeing the police procedures and making sure that complaints procedures are as robust as we will want them to be, to make sure that the police are taking judgments we can fully support. But we will also move towards, it needs to be operational by April next year. I'd like to bring it in if possible, earlier next year, an ethics and integrity committee that will help help just very occasionally sit back and think about those issues that can challenge policing from time to time. This is not day-to-day business. This is to help that strategic development of Essex Police, so we're just as good as we can possibly be, fit to meet the challenges that are coming down the track towards us. I thought I'd mention that. I've blogged about it, and there will be some interest in it. because I am discouraged, and I think it's unfair on Essex Police. You know, day by day, Essex cops are doing a really good job. Of course there are issues, we all know there are issues. You know, the quality of service isn't as good as we want to be, things go wrong. But I think the big things that are, you know, with Clipgate, with a lot of the other things, with Hillsborough, with Cleveland, with a lot of these concerns going on elsewhere, I want us to do something positive to make sure that we can address the challenges.
Okay. Very useful.